The Speedmaster for Omega is like the Submariner for Rolex or the 911 for Porsche. It's this super iconic model that everybody universally loves, yet you have to keep on updating, you have to keep on upgrading without losing the essence of what made this model iconic in the first place. It's a tightrope balance between innovation and tradition. And I think the wide dial Speedmaster is a genius move from Omega. Yes, essentially at the core of it, it's just a wide dial Speedy. But I think there's more to it than just that. I got my hands on one, and here's my review. It pretty much stayed unchanged from the newest version of the Speedy. It's 42mm in case diameter, 47.5mm lug-to-lug distance. It still has the 20mm lug opening, and it's only 13.2mm case height, including the domed sapphire crystal. Unlike the standard version of the Moonwatch, this one is only available as a sapphire sandwich. That's right, no Hasselite version for this one. And I think the sapphire on the watch actually makes quite a big difference. You wouldn't think it does until you hold the two side by side. Whenever I compare my Hasselite Speedy to the sapphire Speedy, I can clearly see the difference. The Hasselite has a little bit more of a warm tone to it. It has a little bit more sort of softer appearance. It almost makes the watch look more vintage, versus the sapphire version right away looks a lot more modern, and I think with the white dial that was the right choice. The bezel, on the other hand, is still that vintage inspired aluminum bezel insert, of course featuring the tachymeter scale, and this one does have that dot over 90. Now, I personally think it was a bit of a missed opportunity not upgrading this bezel insert for a ceramic one. I think a ceramic bezel insert would elevate sort of the modern look of this watch and would make it quite different from the standard Moonwatch. But at the same time, I also understand why they kept the standard aluminum bezel insert, because they want to tie this in with the standard Moonwatch. It's not a special edition, it's not a limited edition, it's just the Moonwatch with a white dial. The case is still made out of stainless steel. The watch still has push-pull style crown, these pump style pushers for the chrono engagement, and unfortunately it still has 50 meters of water resistance. Officially, Omega says you can swim with your Speedmaster because it has 50 meters of water resistance, although I personally wouldn't, but hey, you do as you wish. I wish that this watch had 100 meters of water resistance. I think it would make a lot more sense, especially for a modern watch in 2024. The finishes on the case and the bracelet are top notch. It features an alternating brushed and high polish finishes. I think Omega never disappoints with the quality of their finishes, especially at this $8,000 to $10,000 price range. Omega has made some interesting choices with the dial, and I think pretty much all of them work. Instead of going with the muted matte dial, they actually went for a glossy lacquered dial, and I think it works really well, especially the contrast between applied blackened markers and this sort of glossy dial. There is a very good legibility. Of course, the Speedy is known for its legibility. At one glance, you can instantly tell what time it is, and this watch is no different. It's just the opposite color pattern. On the standard Speedy, you have white on black. On this one, you have black on white. Also, the markers on this Speedy are applied as opposed to the painted on markers on the standard Moonwatch. The sub-registers at the 3, 6, and 9 are sunken in, which gives a nice depth to the dial, and I think with the wide dial it's even more prominent. It actually looks quite nice in person. The dial is not completely monotone. There is this red pop of color. Speedmaster is written in red, as well as the tip of the seconds hand features red color, which I think looks really good. The standard Speedmaster is just monotone. There's black, there's white, that's it. Versus the new version with this pop of red, even though it's very small, it still gives that desired effect of making this watch look more modern. Again, just side by side, looking at the standard Speedy, looking at the wide dial Speedy, wide dial one just looks modern, versus the original one just looks like the original. It's very cool because it's essentially the same watch with a different dial color, but you'd be surprised how much you can achieve with just few small design tweaks. There are three different options for the Speedy. You could have it on a black racing strap, you could have it on a black integrated rubber strap, or you could have it on the stainless steel bracelet. I think a bit of a missed opportunity was not creating a white rubber strap instead of the black one. I think that would look really good. You would have that nice contrast between the bezel, and then you have the white dial with the white strap. I think that would look great, but maybe I'm in a minority here. The one I'm reviewing is actually on the stainless steel bracelet, and it's exactly the same bracelet as we've seen introduced on the modern Speedy. I actually really like these bracelets. They're very comfortable. In some way, they remind me of the Speedy Reduced that I used to have. It hugs the wrist nicely. It doesn't have these protruding first links like my Speedmaster Professional does. I have the previous version, and a lot of people don't like it because it wears much larger because the way the bracelet sort of protrudes. With this one here, it actually hugs your wrist. So if you have a bit of a smaller wrist, you can still pull off wearing this watch. There's also a bit of a two-tone finish. You have satin finish with these high polishes on the center link. I think that looks really good. And of course, it's very Omega. The clasp was updated as well. You release it using the two pushers. It also features quick adjustment system. You push on this button right here and you have about 5 or 6 micro adjustments. It actually works pretty well. And I think every modern luxury watch, especially nowadays, should feature a variation of a system like this. It's just so convenient, especially on the bracelet. In terms of the fit on the wrist, as I said earlier, the bracelet does make a difference. I think it hugs the wrist nicer than my Speedmaster. Also on the wrist, I think the wide dial Speedmaster wears a little bit larger than the OG Speedy. I think the all black dial, black bezel kind of blends in and makes the watch wear a bit smaller, versus having the contrast between the white dial and the black bezel just really expands the look of the watch. But really the specs are exactly the same, it's just the visual illusion that you get by having a white dial. This new model features the 3861 caliber movement. Is the updated movement that Omega updated a couple of years ago. It's featured in the new Moonwatch. It's of course featured in this watch. 50 hours of power reserve, 26 joules, beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It's a manual wind movement with master chronometer certification. It's a really, really solid movement. Clearly, I like the watch. I think Omega did a fantastic job. Yes, they had a few other releases like the Alaska project, also some special editions of the Speedmaster with a white dial, but it was never the Moonwatch. And I think tackling something like that, taking an icon like the Moonwatch and giving it a completely different dial is a bit of a risky move. I know it sounds kind of stupid. What do you mean? You just put a different dial color on a watch. What's the big deal? But it does make a big difference. Remember the 996 Porsche? What's the big deal? You just put slightly different set of headlights on the Porsche. What was the big difference? And not every Porsche enthusiast will agree with you on that one. So I think this could have gone that route as well. Fortunately, I don't think it did. I think this watch has been received fairly well. I think it's fairly desirable. And I also think it is actually quite different from the regular Speedy. As I already said, I think the original Speedmaster looks very sort of vintage inspired, especially the Hasselite version, versus this new white dial Speedmaster looks very modern. Just with a few design tweaks, they were able to achieve a whole new look to the watch. The only thing that I'm not so crazy about is the constant price increases on these watches. Nowadays, it's $8,100 US. It's about $100 more than the regular Speedmaster Sapphire Sandwich, which I guess, you know, for the paint on the hands and because it's a new color, whatever, $100 is not a big deal, but the prices have been steadily rising. So nowadays, these watches are no longer $6,500, $6,000 watches. Now they're getting close to that $10,000 mark, which is of course quite expensive. I appreciate you watching this review all the way until the end. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the wide dial Speedmaster. Is it just a new dial or is there more to the story? I always enjoy reading your comments. Also, let me know what you would think about a wide dial Submariner. Would that work or would that just be stupid? I'm kind of curious to see what other iconic watches could also be done with a different color combination. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.